And I love it. I think that kids being able to think free, talk free, and speak free, that's the hope. That's hope. They're like a wheel that squeaks and they need oil. A lot of kids are squeaking because they need attention. Hope for a community and a relationship, and it's authentic, it's infectious, and it's something that we hold on to. And that's why I'll never retire. I don't think Jackie's ever going to retire. I think the only reason why I can't come is I can't walk fast enough to catch up with you guys.
Keeping the recipes with Transit Arts. Recording. Check 1 2 1 2.
And we are recording.
We are recording. All right, hey everybody. This is Keeping the Recipes with Transit Arts. I'm your host for this interview, Andre Barrett, and my awesome guest is
Richard Duarte Brown.
All right. What would you like me to call you?
Duarte's fine.
Duarte's fine. Okay, awesome.
Yes.
And this series is about just kind of keeping the recipes with our elders, receiving wisdom, guidance, stories. Really, just kind of like, honestly, we're just kind of just chilling out and telling stories. So, how you doing today, good sir? Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Excuse the mess out here. We just had a programming with our TARP program today. Check us out at transitarts.com if you know any young people looking for an outlet or maybe a side hustle career path. We have all kinds of stuff. But check out the website. Check out our website at keepingtherecipes.com. All one word, all lowercase. I think this is your very first time being on this podcast, right?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Good to hear. And like I said before, this is just us talking with our elders, our friends, our family about different topics and receiving wisdom and different stories. And then this episode, we are referring to, funny enough, COVID, because it has, I think, impacted a lot of people's lives in very different ways.
Yes, it has.
And so let's start off with, tell me about yourself, sir.
Myself.
Yes.
As far as being a part of Transit Arts.
Transit Arts, you can talk about your family history, how you grew up, anything, where you come from.
Little me.
Yeah.
So myself, I'm from New Jersey, Atlantic City, and a fifth grade teacher made an impact on my life, Mr. Steele, and it was the year Dr. King was shot and killed.
Wow.
And I was in the fifth grade at the time.
Yes.
My father wasn't around, didn't know who he was. My mom had different, guy friends that came over that I wanted to be my father. But and she was a fusser because she's trying to raise me and my younger siblings, and we had older siblings. Mm-hmm. So she was like, at one point in her life, she would say things like, we ruined her life, and talk to us real fast. And, of course, my mom was a cusser and, that kind of thing. But when I went to school, this teacher that I had wasn't like my mother. He wasn't a fusser. So he talked to us, and he was calm, and he was just like a tall black man. And he just resonated with me. And I right away wanted him to be my father and thought of him as my father. And the year when Dr. King was killed, they announced it over the PA.
Yeah.
He literally slumped and cried in front of us, and we were made to feel like if you shed tears and boys weren't allowed to cry, that you were a sissy. That's the only way we know how to say it. But I knew Mr. Steele wasn't a sissy. He cried the tears of a real man, and whoever Dr. King was, he must have been important because we really didn't sit around at home talking about Dr. King.
Yes.
My mom was trying to work, and she was trying to have a life, and I was older than 4 younger siblings, so I learned how to cook at 9. I learned how to be responsible, and so I really didn't have a time to play. But I did know that making art was the thing that I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of who I am, a person that kind of grew up quick, and I appreciate my mom for teaching me how to cook and how to, be responsible. And I realized no matter where you come from or who you come from, they had it rough too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if anybody hears me talk and feels sorry for me, don't do it. Just forgive people. Just let people go. Don't let your mom go. Let your pop go. Let whoever didn't do something right for your life. Don't hold on to that bitterness, because all it does is make you have a stigma. Mm-hmm. And somewhere along the line, you just learn how to when you learn how to let things go. You don't acquire a bitter outlook, and all of a sudden, dreams, impossible things seem to happen. Like winding up here at Transit Arts, winding up being a teacher like my teacher.
Yeah.
Before I even went to school to be a teacher or anything, like just following a dream just kind of happened because I didn't have time to be bitter, and I didn't have time to like believe it couldn't happen. I just thought I was born to do something and went after it. Like, and so I find myself around many artists doing something that even my brother and sister said I couldn't do, only because they were concerned that, well, being an artist was fluky or wasn't like legitimate, like it wasn't a money making thing, and they just didn't know the other ends of art, like, you know, the design side of it, the writing side of it, or the development side of it, the marketing side of it. There's so many sides to so many things that we're not exposed to, and that's what I really like about being a part of Transit Arts. We get a chance to see many faceted things and meet many people in different kind of ways. You know, as far as Jackie Calderon's husband, a traveling comedian, you meet people that have been painting all their life, getting to meet people in the community that come and always want to give their right and left hand for benefit of the young people. So there's so many, like, knowing our community, the authentic community, really makes my heart feel good. And I always feel like if I go anywhere, there's no place like Columbus has become my home. Even though I'm from New Jersey, I feel like Columbus is my home. Really? It is my home. My people are here. The communities that I found here. Smokey Brown came, met him, and died and left me an inheritance here. In a sense of giving me fatherhood, by leaving me some art through his wife. On and on and on and on. You know, I just feel a deep sense of family, like endless family. And every time I paint a picture of a person, for me, it's like acknowledging a family member. And so they become a part of me forever. And their stories, their dilemma, and even when you did a poem about Boxed In, you wrote a poem called Boxed In. Yeah, about COVID. I think it's called Boxed In. And I drew your face and put it in your mouth, and it's been at Whitehall School on the wall. Yeah, I remember that. Once again, I appreciate that. For those who don't know Duarte is a phenomenal, not only phenomenal artist here in Columbus, Ohio, and probably I'm pretty sure in other states as well, but like a phenomenal mentor. Just through Transit Arts alone, he has mentored so many different kids and so many different young men as well. And that's something I've always appreciated about you, is the fact that you, just like your teacher was, you know, kind of a father figure to you, you have become now a father figure to other youth. And I think that is something that I feel like should really be highlighted, especially in this day and age, you know, when there's not a lot, the good people who need to be highlighted aren't highlighted, you know, for what they do. And I feel like you're definitely one of those people. You know, I really appreciate that. Yeah. Definitely. So, I can't even stress how phenomenal your art is. And how did you kind of be, like, where does your inspiration come from? Where did your inspiration come from? Let's start there. Yeah. Okay, I think when I was a very young boy in New Jersey, it was a guy named Gene London telling the story on TV. And I would sit there and watch other people sit around him while he drew. And that just captivated me, to be able to say something and draw a picture. I think that I always connected to images and I liked words. They said I was shy. It was not that I was shy. It was just that they said, in order for me to make it as an artist, my brother and my mother, I would have to go to New York, and everything else realistically has already been done. So it was really no use for me to be an artist. So it made me feel like the dream that I had in me already, my own family was telling me I couldn't have it, so I got quiet. Not because I was shy, it was because you just told me I couldn't be who I was born to be. In the terms of protecting me, and when they kept talking, and they said Ricky Shy, because they called me Ricky. Richard Duarte Brown. Ricky was my name in New Jersey, and some of the times you hear people call me Uncle Ricky, like Malik and them, because they know me from my New Jersey names. But one day when we was around the house, you know, my mom, we were close, a small family in a small house in New Jersey. So, you know, mom taught us how to cook, so we were always cooking something and doing something and watching movies and not allowed to go back in the kitchen, but sneaking back in there to get some more food. And we were doing some kind of talking, and I was always using experiments like rice and shoe polish to make chicken bones and make art. I was always making something. And one day I said something like, New York will come to me. Like, I just said it, like it blurted out of nowhere, meaning that I don't know how I understood it. I don't know what it like I knew that I wasn't going to have to go to New York to be an artist. I was already an artist, and I knew it as a kid. It's just kind of crazy how some of us know who we are and what we are, and when you meet people that are like that, they don't work by you telling them what to do. You may tell them to do something, and they may be able to do it, but you almost got to allow you to tell them something and trust that when they do it, they're going to do it in their time and in their mode of operate, the way they operate.
Yeah.
And that's, if you learn how to catch people's operating times versus you telling them to do something and being offended that they didn't work the way you wanted them. Like a good example is a kid named Dante Woods. He came along the way. I saw him in this natural mentor. And what made us really close was I would take on Saturdays kids out to movies or just spend time with them, like productive time. And I would ask them to write stories. Like on the way home, if I bought them a hamburger or something, I would use it as like I wouldn't say I was going to buy you a hamburger, but it was like on the way home, I said, you want to get something to eat? Where you want to eat? And just buy them a hamburger. And they thought they was telling me they were hungry and using me, but I already felt it was the way I could serve God by feeding his children, like his family, or seeing them as family, like doing what I wanted done to me. So it was my way of serving God, like being accountable to God to care about the neighbors, like the young neighbors, and give somebody what I always wanted, a quiet ride and a time home. And that quiet ride and that time home from a place is almost intimate. Like everybody wants that quiet time with their parent or their adult figure. And I know a lot of kids that when they got into fights or got the argument, instead of like saying why you fight, Jackie knew that I had this strategy where when we were back in our early days of shortstop, I would sometimes brothers would be fighting in the center. People would fight, and you just take one, ride them down the corner, and say you want to get something to eat. And sometimes they're so mad that they fought each other or was fighting and looking at you, wondering why you're not afraid of them. Because, you can see yourself in them. You see this lamb and a lion. What I mean is the little lamb is trying to beat a lion before they even grow to be the man, and they're still a baby, a lamb. Yeah. And, finding their way. So you when you take them to restaurants, spend time with them, or just talk, it's never forgotten. And kids grow up 35, 40. Sometimes they become alcoholics. Sometimes they become responsible citizens. Sometimes, the process is like continual. It's like in any real family. Everybody doesn't rise to a perfect, formed human being. They're always finding their way, struggling. Some people make it. Some people make it and fall down. Some people fall down and get up. It's a continual, relational, revolving gamut around. It's not just like we all grew up and we lived happily ever after. It's all like we encountered, Katrina. We encountered, COVID now. We've encountered, elections or, whatever we encounter, and we're all encountering together. So having a place where we come and, maybe make some art or eat some food or dream a dream and watching some people excel does a great thing. So going back to the guy, Dante, he was one of the kids that worked around me while we worked with each other, and we, collaborated, and I saw him as a leader. And he looked like the next generation of somebody you can pass the brush to, or the idea of passing the brush instead of like, this is a little rough, but the blunt. I went to a bunch of kids' party one time, or hung where they went, and they was all talking about, pass that blunt.
Right.
And I was like, that's all they do? In my mind, because you grow up, you get away, you don't know what people, so they want to be excited. They want to be where something's going on. They want to be where they're not supposed to be, doing something they're not supposed to do. Yeah. And that was one of the things you watch and you observe. What you in your mind imagine is worse, or you think they'd stay away from, they're around. And then when you just go around them and look at them and talk to people and just like, don't just really chat them about that. I wanted to speak to the idea of, instead of passing the blunt, pass a brush. So the pass a brush painting was born out of this kid Dante, like having a brush in his hand and standing up there looking forward into the future, and the idea of all races coming together in a shirt, or all nations coming together, because all these nations are different, and nations fight, fall, and get back up, but nations, the greatest dream is for nations to come together. Yeah. And so what I'm saying is, this kid Dante, when I pass him the brush, the thing is, I can't tell him how to paint. I can't tell him how to work. True. I can't tell him how to write, sing, or even to live. But the thing is, I can do is empower him, or tell him that I see the gift in him, and acknowledging what's in people helps people to see who they are. And I think that he just published a book, and at the book signing, he said if he met people like me and someone else that was talking to him positively in his life, that he thinks he would have been convinced that he can do his book sooner, because like it's not his biggest struggle was what people said he couldn't do. Like when my parents told me I couldn't go to New York, or I had to go to New York, or I couldn't be an artist. Excuse me for saying that wrong, but a lot of us are fighting someone else's will to protect us that almost discourages us.
Yes.
So we have tug of wars in our head and voices in our head that tell us, no, we're never going to make it. And we worry about something that makes us hesitant in moving forward. So many times we just have to move forward and go on and let the consequences fall whatever way they fall, because that risk-taking thing allows things to surprise us and happen the right way.
Yes.
And I think that most of us know that we have to take a risk in order to go where we're born to go.
That is so very, very true. I mean, I even just going back to transit arts, my experience is like I was someone who didn't really want to take risks at all. I'm like, I don't know it. I'm not touching it. And transit arts was kind of the home of like, no, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and fail. Like, it's okay.
Well, good thing
go ahead and fail. It's all right. And I think that is one of the greatest philosophies coming from transit arts and capacity and shortstop, and from you, Miss Jackie, is the sense of it's okay to fail, but you have to keep on. You have to keep on pushing. And I think that's something like I think that's been heavily tested throughout these last 2-3 years. With COVID and things of that nature, and just asking like, how's your experience with COVID? Because I've been talking with different people, and there's a lot of things that are in common, but like the way it has affected people, their experiences, it's been very interesting to hear about. So like, how was your experience with COVID?
Mine was like total like confusion. Like school suddenly stopped. We couldn't communicate with nobody. It was like no goodbye, no hi. Particularly watching a group of kids spend 13 years in school and now they can't graduate. So I was kind of close to that. So we were aware of the seniors in high school, but we're also the seniors that we were afraid that the seniors couldn't go out. They couldn't communicate. They couldn't go anywhere. And I was at a store in Bexley, and an older woman, she said, this is not like anything else she's ever experienced. It's strange in a way that I can't explain. And when she said it, it just felt like an air of total confusion and uncertainty, and just like everything stopped.
Yeah,
like stopped, and we didn't know how to move forward. And we were all like trying to figure out what to do, how to protect ourselves, whether it was real or not, whether it was made up, or all the thoughts from everywhere you go, depending on where you're going. Some people in Family Dollar were saying this is a white man's disease, stuff like that. And, and then and then we were hearing black people get. It's all kind of things that came out of our mouths.
Yeah,
it just shows the way we all think and how we're isolated. But it was isolated, but it was globally calling us to care in a way that we didn't know how to care. And so since a grant paid me to teach art, it gave me a chance to still work, but we did the portraits for the kids and found a way to hang them on and have an art show in the street, even though, because that year we were having so many things we're going to have. We're going to have an arts festival. Yes. We had so many things lined up that was going to happen, like thing after thing after thing.
Yes.
People, like even the dance groupers, we all met together. Everybody had so many things. And even the Harmony Project guy, he had something big getting ready to happen.
David Brown.
Yep. All these people had all these things lined up that we know, and we were getting closer to people that we always see them doing great things. And then people, we did these portraits for the students, and out of nowhere, people just, it's kind of emotional when I think about it, how people reacted, giving me cash apps to buy some coffee. And people talk to me and thank me for caring about their sons. And then the thing was, a lot of kids that were going to school, you know how high school is always working with kids that are still in development stage, and some of them don't have all the credits. And for some reason, I'm always drawn to the kids that seem like they're in trouble. A lot of kids in trouble. Trouble means they're like a wheel that squeaks and they need oil. What I mean is, a lot of kids are squeaking because they need attention. They're not bad in the sense of like, they're bad and they're this, that, and the other, but there's like a baby cries for life.
Yes.
Teens act out for attention. When I say it, it's not shallow. It's really real. It's like it's attention meaning I want a relationship. I want more out of life. I want the relationship I never had. And then when a parent doesn't ask permission to be the parent, they just do it.
Yeah.
So in many times when you're sitting in a mentoring role, you just do things. You don't ask. People don't know, well, is that your dad? Is that this? Is that? And because then some kids takes them a year or two, and then all of a sudden they just sit around you and won't leave. And then because you don't talk like, sit down, boy, like the distance way, or the stoic old school way, or just that you're there, they're not knowing what you're there for, and you're laughing, you're smiling, and you're not really chastising them. But then they're thinking you're like them, and they want to talk, they want to relate to you on, I'm sexually active, or I'm something, and you really don't have much to say with them there neither. But then realistically, they'll be in a position where my mom made me say happy birthday to my father, and I hate my father because he never was around. They start they just tell you stuff. And I really don't really say, what did you just say? Or I just let them talk. And I really don't always give feedback. I sometimes just let people talk. And I find it, the more you listen, the more people say. And many times they just want to say, man, I want to get a job, but I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I'm tough around this, and I got girlfriends and everything. They might not say it like that, but they say, man, I don't know where I'm finding a job. I say, well, where'd you try? And you almost got to be like relentless by saying, hey, so where'd you go? Well, just go back there and say, I'm here for my interview. Yeah. I just say things. Go just show up and say, I'm here for my interview. And then they'll look for an interview maybe. Or they say, we can't find your paper. Well, let me just fill out your application again. I mean, I'm just saying, if you really look for a job, you just got to go out and act like you want the job.
Yeah.
And when you do that, people will look at you because they're always needing jobs at places that serve people. And this one kid couldn't find a job. And one day I was in school and I saw him in a hall. And for some reason, after a year, he grew trust with me. But he would see me and then hug me like in front of the other school kids. And I'm an older man in school and, not really cool. I don't really play basketball. I used to wonder, why are you in the art room? You don't play sports? All you do is make art? I'm like, yeah. And they don't see what the heck is that. But this particular kid I'm thinking about, and I met him before COVID, and he got this job after we, because one day I saw him in the hall, back to my story. I jumble around, but with my words sometimes because I start something and think about something else. But the main thing about this particular kid, which I won't say any names, but he was in the hallway, he hugged me, and his friends seen him hug me, and they was wondering, because he gets in trouble, and he acts kind of, but we've got this relationship where he sees me as a parental figure, and not as a teacher, but somebody that cares about him, even in the room. So he comes in the art just to sit there and be failing his classes and won't go to class just to sit there and look at me, or talk, or ask me something, or tell me what ringtone I should have on my phone. But this particular day, I asked him in the hall, I said, did you get that job? And he said, I said, did you go back? He said, I said, did you go back? I'm in the hall, like he was my own son, giving him that, I said, man, I'm sorry, I forgot I was in school. He said, no, that's okay. And I think the fact that I was so emotionally charged about it and so passionate about talking to him made him even feel more close to me. Well, finally, he did get it. He didn't get a job yet, but at Christmas time, I gave him a little something for Christmas, hugged him and seen him and went on my family trip. When I came back, he told me he had 2 jobs. Oh, wow. And he worked 2 different places, and some other place called him, and he was working throughout the school year. But he did not graduate with all of his credits during COVID. His brother came the year after COVID, and he found me on Instagram but during COVID. Let me go back to during COVID. During COVID, he reached out to me on Instagram. He said, hi, and I said hi to him. This is how they do. They write you, they say hi, and you go back. Then he says, what's happening? And I always call him Ninja because they always say the other word. Yeah. But he was like, I'm 18 now, I can say the word. But I say, okay, how you doing, Ninja? I just say that because that's just our joking way of talking. And then I said, so how's it going? He said, it's rough. He said, I said, I love you, man. He said, that's all I really wanted to hear you say. He said, my mom's been stuck in Ghana since COVID, and she hasn't been home, and it's just really been rough. And I just said, he said, I said something about I love you, man. He said, that's all I wanted to hear you say. And it's like, I'm just simply saying, sometimes it's not even, I didn't do anything deep. Just spoke a voice of love and relationship into him. And he's one of many, many, many kids that fight. And it's not even just black kids. It's any kid that's looking for a relationship is just looking for someone to fill that elder void. Yeah. Literally just be there. Not really, you don't have to fit in. You don't have to be cool. He one day he was laughing at me. He said, man, you got on skinny jeans? Because I was, I'm a older, heavy man. And now I brought these clothes that have skinnier legs. He's laughing. What you doing with skinny? They wasn't skinny jeans, but they were tapered like skinny jeans. I'm just funny how the kids, they think they own you once you have a relationship. They tell you what you should and shouldn't wear. They talk to you like they're the parent, but it's a very protective thing. And when you make a relationship with one student, then you make a relationship with their friend, and their friends make a relationship with you, and then you become the friends of the friends. And I remember painting these portraits for these students, and they put it on the news, and we stopped at the Donato's Pizzas, and two of the kids looked and said, "Oh, my mom saw the portrait you painted. They brought me like the pizza plates and the napkins all special, like they really were serving me like I was an honored citizen." And it was like humbling because all the kids saw their pictures on the wall. We painted their portraits, and they put it in the news, and it was like their graduating classes got on the wall. And even the kid that I'm telling you about that didn't graduate that year, the next year his brother came after COVID. His brother graduated from high school. This kid didn't have all his credits, and he needed one to graduate. So he actually went to credit recovery, got one credit, got me on Instagram after his brother died a year later to show me he got his diploma. But he went out of his way to show me he got his diploma.
Yes.
A year after he got a picture for it, but he couldn't get the official one, even though he got the portrait that year as he graduated. But he wanted to show me that he finished graduating. So it's like those rich things happen on a regular level, and we don't. It's not something that's really totally newsworthy in that sense, but it's so newsworthy to me because the relationships that we have with people forge so much. You could talk about the violence that other people do, that with police and COVID and all the strains that come with it. But a lot of times, people are looking for a relationship and a hug, or someone just to say I care about you or I love you.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have money to give them, even if you don't have food to give them, there's some people are hungry for the food that comes from human touch and human kindness.
Yes.
Most people are hungry for that.
And I feel like that is something that is like we all I think kind of figured out like those first few months of COVID, and I think something that you've been saying about how important it is to be that not necessarily a parental figure to the youth, but someone who they can come to with no judgment.
Yeah.
Criticism but no judgment.
Yeah.
I think over the last couple of months we've seen that it's very, very critical, very, very necessary because, like we've heard we've seen the news, we heard it, with the youth not being able to do anything, and there's no outlets, all the things that they were usually doing, are essentially closed or canceled. There was all those attachments, all those relationships that they've been building over the years, it essentially just halted. I feel like that's something I feel like as people we need to kind of understand sometimes. I know you understand, like you understand that because you continuously do just build relationships with youth, but I feel like sometimes because as adults we have an adult mindset about things because we have to, with life, that we sometimes forget like these are kids, they're still trying to figure out their way, and so like what with your experience, like how are these kids doing when COVID hit? How were they doing? How are they doing now?
A lot of them just this is the funniest thing. I went back and read it. So I wrote a book called The Still Influence, and what I did was I had kids write their stories. Some talked about smoking cigarettes and the reason why they did it, and then they smoked one way. Then they talked about how they smoked and then played basketball and ran out of breath. But most of them talked about like things like. Answer me that question one more time because I went somewhere and I lost thought. Yeah.
No, you're good. So, how has COVID impacted them before and during and then even now? Like what's been going on with the youth?
Really just looking for a place that people really care for them. They're trying to act tough. They're still the same way. They're trying to be tough. They're trying to, like the one kid wrote, he said smoking was boring, so he smoked. But then when he went and played ball, he was out of breath, and he really was doing something that was not even good for him.
Yeah.
So and then a lot of times when you give a kid a permission or a chance to do something right for you, they don't think it's all that important until they say, "Oh, you really wrote a real book?" And then they want to go back. I would have wrote better if I knew you was going to do that. This is what a lot of people say. They always say they would have put more if they knew this, but like realistically, your life is like that. You are doing the real life right now, and you should put the best foot forth no matter what. And it's the way kids are now. They're still hungry. Like you watch these kids come, no matter where you are. A lot of kids want to prove their point, they have enough resilience to know that the parents are right about some things and not right about all things. So some kids fight to prove the parents wrong. They'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Realistically, and so that sometimes that works in a way that helps the kids fight, and it's a good thing actually. It's not bad that a kid wants to show you that I'm right, mom, and you're not. I mean, but if you really listen to it, that is what you want the kids to grow out of the nest.
Yes.
You don't want them to sit around waiting for you, and you want to empower people. Like, so I get trapped. All the kids want the relationship, want the ride home, want this, but the trap is you don't know when. I don't know when to stop or how to stop. I don't know how to say no sometimes, so I have to run away and not come and build things around me to help me not to overindulge and help the kids grow, like help wean them. So that's one thing. But the other thing is sometimes they're just scared too. They're really just scared, but they don't want to let you know they're scared. They want a job. They're scared of what we're scared of. They're scared about diseases breaking out. They're scared about not having jobs. They're scared about families not being able to work or pay their bills or having a Christmas or having a holiday off or the grandma dying. They're scared about all the things we're scared about. They're scared about the future. They're scared about the politics. They're scared about the fights, the police, the murders. Everything we're scared about, they're scared about. But they don't seem like they're scared about it because they do risky things with their friends to show that they're in advance. But if you get them alone, you get them by themselves, they'll tell you, I want to be better than this. I don't want to do that. Every single kid I meet, they want that. And sometimes they're easily influenced or they have a few, like you said, ties or bonds that they can't break.
Yeah.
Or places they don't know how to cross the barrier. They're territorial. They don't want to go where they don't know somebody or they don't look a certain way. And even the kids that we know, like, little Gabriel, I find him on Instagram. He's called Little Boy Blue now, and you don't even know it's the same kid that was here.
Really?
He's got a whole different confidence about him.
Good.
And he's got a whole different personality. You see him.
Oh, man. I always think about him from time to time to see how he's doing.
His name is Little Boy Blue on Instagram right now. But I'm just saying that. So you'll see him out there, doing things they see other kids do. But at the same time, you got to look past. You got to really look past what you see the kids do to who they really are.
Yes.
When you show them who they really are, they'll listen to you. Even many times I'll see a kid in a room at school saying stuff real loud and cussing, and every time I look at them or saying whatever they say, it looks like they're ignorant and intimidating. Sometimes that's a front to not have to take the test, to expect me not to take no test. I ain't smart. I mean, well, they don't say I'm not smart, but that's to make you feel like, well, you won't approach him. You won't ask him to take the test. That makes him look like. And then I've known some kids to go play basketball at lunchtime and rather than take the test, get in a fight to get suspended. They didn't plot it, but that's what the pressure in them, the trauma of taking the test will allow you to be mad enough to. And the fight is not really because you're mad at that person. You're mad at yourself because you can't pass the test that you got to pass, and you don't want to walk around like a DDoP or like you're slow or being measured or have people say, you're not good at taking tests and, you got to pass that test in order to get out of school and, you should have came here and got help. And, people talk calm and nice and everything, but sometimes I don't know what to say. Tests are a fearful thing and they're scared of tests as well. They're scared of tests. They're scared of other things. Because, the Indian, and I think that all schools want everybody to look alike and dress alike and be alike and there's something to that, but there's also this need for people that are different to be different, so it's like, what I say? I say there's hope, and there's also just like in us, if we're hopeful and look for the best, we find the best. But if we are fearful and look for what's wrong, we'll see that too. So somewhere you gotta have hope and reality, but look at hope more. You always have to have hope. Once you lose hope, there's nothing to go for. So even hope in like someone talked about Amina's work at the museum as an artist and as a woman and as a person. They said that everybody in her paintings were hopeful. They were singing. They were gathering. They also were dealing with problems. And they also, you could see the destruction or the terror or the uncertainty in life, but there was a hope. So it was like she did her work because she hoped for the best. We come to Transit Arts because we hope for the most. The kids come to work because they hope for a check, and we hope that we'll get funded. We'll hope that we'll get sustained. We'll hope.
Yeah.
So everything we'll hope with, somebody like the paintings and buy them. We keep that kind of thing. And so with the kids, when you go to school, you hope the day is going to be better. So with that in mind, you go in there the next day, and somehow if you find hope, a lot of kids you'll see will sit around and show you someone that fought. someone that did this, but they don't want to be associated with that. They don't want to be there. They don't want to live. They wouldn't just show you that's something that happened, but I don't want nothing to do with it, for the most part. But I think that the kids are like kids throughout all the ages. They want life. They want hope. They want a direction. They want this what we've been fighting for, and they want to see when they see us take a risk, and even when we fail, we get up and keep going, and something seems to work every time. Something always seems to work. Someone always comes through, because I think that when whatever positive stuff they do, it's catching, it's infectious. It's infectious. Other people want to help in ways they don't know how. They think of us as they always, you can hear it in everybody that comes here. They, well, and what's really one more thing, I'm gonna jump right out of this. I love hearing the different teenagers that come in here different from different walks around talking about social things that happen, entertainers that fell or got up or struggled, the law, the life, and just having their opinion. It's okay for people to have an opinion and different opinion, and I love it. I think that kids being able to think free, talk free, and speak free, that's the hope. That's hope. And it's like we don't all have to agree. We don't have to have the same political views or desires, but hoping for a community and a relationship, and it's authentic. It's infectious, and it's something that we held on to, and that's why I'll never retire. I don't think Jackie's ever going to retire. I think the only reason why I can't come because I can't walk fast enough to catch up with you guys. And I'll find somebody to load the car and grab the bag, but I'll wobble in here and I'll come in and paint until I can't paint no more. I want to if when it's time for me to go, I want to go after I just came to an open mic and tried to paint live with the rest of the kids and watch them dance. Inside I might have been dancing, but my feet didn't, but my mind and my heart is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what or singing or playing. And what's really crazy, watching different nationality kids who feel like they're not black or not something, come here, would never dance, and sit around with each other and walk away shaking hands. And I noticed one particular kid that was bullied, and he had a label and everything. He said, I want to learn more about black culture. He just wanted to learn more about culture. And he just started shaking hands, and he starts calling people brother. And he felt like brother, not from brother. And he called us the Misfit Family because it's different, and it's like a family. And he hits the kids that come, you had this one-on-one ride with them. They ask you their questions. They come in there, and the other people convince them about life. The other kids just drawing, just shy.
Yeah.
Many kids came out of here some kids, their fathers and parents didn't give them the time they desired. So why would they expect that from us? And so if you give them time like that, some people it brings them to tears. They don't even know how to express it. You never ever say things like, I'm doing more than your parents or anything, because we're not. We're in collaboration with them, however, if they're here or not. We're honored that the parents allow their kids to come. We're honored for the parents. So we always honor the parents, no matter where they are in any place. So we teach that really well. Never dishonor anyone's parent. Never agree. If they talk bad about them, let them say it, but just don't feedback. Protect them at all costs. And give them permission to say what they say, but also give them permission to say, well, my mom fails or does whatever she does, she's still my mom, and just find ways to always just integrate and say, my mom was a fusser, but she did love me. She taught me how to make potatoes. Yeah. And so to this very day, I find myself realizing that we fall in the same shoes they fall. We get tired. We lack sometimes. We, as the kids say, we're lacking. We're lacking, Mr. Brown. Them shoes stink or something. Whatever they say, we're human. And so like the like you said, the ability to fail and get up is the greatest feel of all. And I remember one time my real birth mother, Carmen, we were walking down the street. She slipped and fell on the ground. And somebody said, that was really bad, you fell. And so we helped her get up. Somebody helped my mom get back up. But it was like people were more embarrassed that she fell for her than the fact that she actually fell. And my mom was telling me, she kind of said that it wasn't so bad, I just fell, but I got back up. And it was like, but the people around her had more, they were more like, oh, yeah, you fell, oh my God. They just made it like it was the end of the world in one sense. So sometimes people look at us and will see us fall or something and think it's the end of the world because it feels like the end of the world when we fall. But if we don't feel like it's the end of the world and get back up, we prove something to ourselves and we prove something to them. They're just like, how did you get back up? You get back up. And my nephew Malik Willoughby wrote a poem. He said, if you have will, get up. If you have will, get up. And he was talking to himself when a teacher told him, she said, son, your problems are insurmountable. A teacher told him that in high school because I think his girlfriend was having a child. My sister was sick with problems, and he was trying to deal with that. And she said he wrote all the time. I think that ran in our family. Way you guys write poetry,
Yeah.
with Barbara and everybody, that's the way I would go in the bathroom and write. And that's how it seems like when I write, answers come. When I write, when I paint, when I do
Yeah.
things, answers come. And that's why when we got in the rooms, I felt like those intimate spaces that we had, that was parental and family. And I always felt like I wasn't allowed to be in those rooms because I would do it on my own. I was too old. I was old now, sneaking in on kids' time, but it was like intimate. And Malik wrote, and he wrote one poem, and it's actually in a book that I wrote. And one part where it says, "If you have will, get up." And he says it. And the way when I read the words, and you see how calm and demeanor he is, that came from like, it's like when Maya Angelou writes, "Still, yet still I rise," or that one thing somebody writes that you
Words
just
of
it haunts you.
affirmation.
Yeah, it just so haunts you, and you so my point is that, like you said, it's get out and fail, get out and fail. It fail,
Yeah.
and what happens? It takes to when a kid sees a teacher fail, that makes them feel like I can fail too.
Yeah.
I can try
Maybe they get back
because the
up
teachers
again.
got right back up and kept
Yeah.
talking. So realistically, we with COVID, with whatever has, we'll just get back up and keep getting up and keep getting up. I watched BHB when we danced out that one day. He took that striker pose and put his hand up in the sky and stand like he's stand. You watch the dancers dance, and it's almost emotional when we have the Halloween party out there and everybody's dressed
Yeah,
around.
that
The
was
kids
fun.
come out. You see the longer you're around, the longer you see grandmas and grandkids and kids of kids come back or walk around, and everybody gets geeked. And don't you remember him, or do you remember him? And we're like, I don't remember him. I don't remember her. And it's like it's so tender. You walk away. There's like a healing in that. It's like golden. It's like so valuable, so precious that if you don't know this, it's addicting. More addicting than being mean and nasty and alone.
Yeah, it
And,
is.
and it's like so like liberating. People don't even know. You just come by and watch those kids dance, and this gives old people hope. You watch the elders look at it, and even in the fact that they're painting the walls at the Central Community House and putting art on the walls versus
Yes, so just
art of the kids of the
very
generations. So
Very needed.
you've got Smokey Brown's art by the water fountain over there that's been there ever since the new building's been there. Then I walk in now, they put one of my paintings that used to be in the airport right in there to look at. Then on the wall you got kids art. Ling Ling, the Asian girl that's in China, her work's on a wall in our building. And this is all work that was done by our kids. And Emmy, who's at Ohio State, and Sam Taylor, who takes our pictures. And this whole, like, alumni students from Transit Arts, like, this whole thing to me is, like, it's very emotional because my dream, it is the manifestation of a teenage museum. A museum doesn't have to be a museum like the gallery we see. It can be a
Yeah.
place where it's filled with art with kids. It's filled with life with elementary kids. It's filled with seniors and open windows. It's filled with other spaces to come to and do open mics. It's filled with community dinners. This is a museum. This is really like a place where you go, but a living one, not a one that's a dead one. When you go and see dead people's work on a wall, you see living work of living people on a wall, functioning, serving, inspiring, and opening up minds. And you see, books being published. You see Think Dreams being manifested. You see the TARP program unfolding.
Yes.
And you see us like showing a possibility and collaborating in a way that we wouldn't know how, and dealing with the structure of rules and regulations and being on time and being accountable and maturing citizens right after or during COVID. And you see concrete grounds and you see other things. You see in a gazebo possibly being built. It's a dream to
Yeah.
me. It's really a dream. And sometimes you can have a dream in front of you and miss it because you're not able to have hope or not able to see, well, man, I have this, but you do have that. So like if we can plant a seed, there's hope.
Yeah.
If the ground's on the dirt on the ground and you can plant a seed, there's hope. And if we got water to water that seed, there's more hope. So it's like everything we got, look at what we got and keep going what we got, and don't worry about what you don't have. And before you know it, your tree will be so big you won't know where it came from. It came from a little seed, a little seed of hope.
Yeah, actually, something that I always try to keep in mind, and then I think we should finish off here, the idea of karma. And people tend to think that there's good karma and bad karma, and that's not necessarily true. Karma is just cause and effect. And something words of affirmation I tell the students, and I especially tell myself is, it's actually one of my poems. It's that planting many seeds will lead to one tree.
Wow.
You know, so even if those first 20 don't grow, you know, the one will grow. You just gotta keep going, keep pushing. I honestly, we can talk all night, but these are supposed to be like 20, 30 minutes. Do you have anything you want to say to the people? Any words of advice, any words of affirmation that you kind of keep? Another one of mine would be good decisions are the mission.
Yeah,
because it's easy to in the rhymes. That helps me. Do you have any words of wisdom for people out there?
I'll say one more thing. When you said the seed thing, one of the kids wrote to me, and sometimes I'll buy them a hamburger on the day we come because, it's like that special moment. I always wanted that be taken out or be cared for as a child or as a younger person, and he was like, you spent your money on me, and I don't know if I could ever pay you back. I said, well, listen, let me tell you, person. I'm not going to say a name because it's to protect people.
Yeah.
And I go like, listen, when I buy you a hamburger, it's planting of seeds. And when seeds planted, a whole tree grows. And when you grow up, you'll be given to somebody else. And that's how our tree grows. And that's how we have a healthy tree to live off of. Shade, food, and nourishment. So the seed thing is so powerful.
That's amazing. All right, sir. I greatly appreciate you sitting with me.
What an honor
just
to be
sharing
spending
some
time with you.
Me and stuff like that. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and tuning in. And this has been Keeping the Recipes. I'm your host for this session, Andre, and awesome guest, phenomenal work, Mr. Gawart. Appreciate you stopping by, man.
Thank you so much.
Keeping the Recipes with Transit Arts.